All right, how's everybody doing today? We've got some cue cards today. Keep me on track. I don't go all over the place like the previous videos. Okay, so we're going to be leaving off, picking up where we left off during the spiritual awakening there, the Dark Night of the Soul section. So, where I left off, I was basically in the back of an ambulance, struggling to stay alive because I was experiencing respiratory failure, but was completely unaware what was going on or why I was in such an anxious state. So, I briefly touched on the fact that I went to recovery because this time around I felt as though I needed it. Things were just a lot worse. I wasn't doing drugs anymore for fun. I was doing drugs purely to escape. And that's a whole different beast once you reach that level. So, um, yeah, I came out of recovery after the 3 months. Um, we'll do a deep dive, kind of what happened in those 3 months at recovery in another video. I want to get through the basic outline of my story as quick as possible, so that you guys kind of have a general idea who I am and why I've created this channel. So, did my 3 months. Life got better when I came out. Of course. How could it possibly get any worse? I moved back home with my family, and I promised myself that I wasn't just going to force myself back into society or rush into a normal life again, working and all that stuff. So, plan was 3 months in recovery, 3 months to because when I was getting out, that would kind of take me to the new year, Christmas time, New Year. So, get through Christmas, get through the holidays, start fresh in the new year. That was the plan, and that's exactly what I stuck to. During those 3 months, about August, September, October, November. I guess it was about 5 months, 5 or 6, really, um, that I spent just with no phone. I wasn't allowing myself the temptation to have a phone and old people that I could contact and get substances from. I just wanted to make this as easy on myself as possible. And I was in the right frame of mind at that point. I wanted to be sober, I wanted to stay healthy. And I was actually starting to get my confidence back again in life. So, the last thing I wanted to do was throw all that away just for a short high. But getting to that point is probably the hardest part of recovery, to be honest, is getting back to a place where you feel as though you have something to lose again. Because for so long, I felt like I had nothing to lose. So there wasn't any motivation for me to get better. As I was saying, things got better. Life was obviously better than it was before recovery, but I really wasn't working on myself. I was, but I wasn't. So I was avoiding substance. I was avoiding the problems at hand. For me, these AA meetings, these where you all join hands and share your troubles with each other, and I completely understand why that helps a lot of people. But for me, I am not that kind of person. I I'm sort of a lone wolf. I don't need to sit around in a circle, sing "Kumbaya" and give each other hugs and love. I'm not saying that doesn't work. It does for many people. I knew immediately that wasn't for me, and I had so many people in my circle trying to tell me, you need to go to AA, you need to do this, you need a support group, you need all these things. Well, guess what? Here I am 2 years later. I didn't need that. So You need to listen to yourself, your intuition, and your higher self, your higher consciousness. All of that knows what you need to do. Stop listening to everyone else in your life that wants to give their little 2 cents. You know yourself better than anyone out there. So, bottom line, if people are telling you something and you think like, yeah, well, maybe I do need that, but you just don't, your soul doesn't light up when you're doing it, get the heck out of there. Okay? It's a clear sign that that's not for you. Your soul knows better than anyone else, better than any logic, better than any human-made system, man-made systems that we've implemented and think that they're the end-all and be-all. It's you and it's God. That connection, nothing stronger. Anyways, let's get back on track here. So, yeah, like I said, I was told you got to do the AA meetings. And don't get me wrong, in recovery, I actually had a lot of fun in those. I made a lot of people laugh. I actually enjoyed the AA meetings in recovery, but when I got out and it was a bunch of strangers, it just was a different thing. And of course, I would get to know these people and build connections and friendships with them. I had no desire to. I can't, um, I can't explain it any other way than just didn't, wasn't calling me, didn't light my soul up. I really had no interest in it, to be frank. So that's just me. Like I said, I know many people that actually like really they almost rely on that to stay sober, and I have many different views in that sort of sense. Like, there's some people that think avoidance is the best thing. Don't hang out with people that drink if you're a recovering alcoholic. I don't look at it that way at all. I think that's so wrong and so backwards. And I'm not here to argue with anybody. I'm just giving you my opinion. I don't agree with that because how is it that you've overcome alcohol or you can even say that you have it at bay if the second that you're around someone drinking, you get the urge to drink? How is that? How have you made any progress? I'm sorry if you can relate to this, but you haven't made any progress. You're just avoiding the problem to begin with. Rather than avoid these things, you need to go through them. You need to smash through them. What does that mean? Well, walk through the den. Walk through the fire and flames. If you can't do that, then you still have that trauma and you still have that underlying problem that's forcing you or causing you to be an alcoholic. And I'm not saying I've fixed that or I'm perfect, but I'll tell you what, I can sit back, I can have 1 or 2 beers now, and I can have no desire to have any more than that. That urge doesn't come back to continue drinking. I've beaten it. And you know why? It's because I've put myself in those tough situations. I've Before I did that, I dug deep. I went inside. I worked on these traumas. I've healed some of that damage so that now when I'm around it, I'm not triggered. I have self-control. I don't need to escape the world because I'm not in agony at every moment of life anymore. I'm in a state of joy or love 90% of the time now during the day. Sure, I have my ups and downs. We all do. We all have our bad days. We all have our good days. But to avoid it, to not be able to go to a bar because I'm a recovering alcoholic, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You haven't accomplished anything. You've made no progress. You're just hiding in fear. Anyways, as you can see, I have strong feelings towards this stuff. Um, so it was around, okay, so let's look at this on a timeline basis. May 2023, I checked myself into recovery. May, June, July, end of July, August, I came out. I had the rest of summer. We had a good summer that year, so it ran into October. So I had July, August, September, October, just to chill, you know, go to the lake, get into nature, allow myself to continue healing, relax. Because before that, I mean, every freaking day was just a state of constant anxiety and misery. It was just horrible. Like, I never knew what was coming next, and it was never good. It was always karmic repercussions for previous stupid choices and mistakes I had made the day prior or that same day. I mean, it was constant, never-ending chaos. And thankfully I made it through that, and here we are today. But I spent that summer relaxing. Um, I really didn't even let anyone know I was out for quite a while. I just kept to myself, my sister, my mom, her dog. It was basically just the three of us. My cousin from England, he came over to visit during that time. So it was a really nice, peaceful few months. Leading into winter, I mean, I had some reservations, some not fears, but just concerns, I guess, because I'm usually affected by the seasonal anxiety disorder. So when winter hits, I usually get I mean, I feel my vibration drop. That's all I need to say. Um, but after we got through the winter and into January, now I'm starting to look for work. But it was hard because, as a lot of the world knows right now, the western part of the world has experienced a massive influx in immigrants, and a lot of our big corporations, specifically, are only hiring immigrants at the lowest wage possible. And that's not saying much because our minimum wage is 17 something here now per hour, which is absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, that's a whole other topic on its own. I'm not going to dig too far into that, but essentially the job market was very barren in promising work, and I was starting to get pressured by my family to start contributing as I should have been, I can't just freeload, even though I'm just fresh out of recovery and trying to get my life back together. I still need to contribute in some way, shape, or form. So I really started looking a lot harder come about March. And it wasn't working. I had a couple opportunities present themselves that I sort of pursued, but it never really turned into anything other than an opportunity, other than an empty promise. So this went on all the way until May before I had a job. But I remember I sat there and I prayed one night. I said, Lord, I understand that I've been through a lot, and this is my time to pause and gather myself before I jump into something new. But my family needs me right now, Lord. The cost of living is very high. They can't afford to support me, and I need to start contributing around here. I shit you guys not. That night, I go to sleep. I wake up the next day to my door being burst open. My mom says, Hey, there's an opportunity. You should print out a resume and go drop it off at Anytime Fitness. So that is a gym here in town, and they're one of the biggest gyms around the world, as most of you probably know because I'm sure you've heard of it. And went down there, dropped off a resume, and it was the perfect job for me because it was combining sales, which is what I'd been doing for the last 7 years, along with my love for fitness and health, obviously. So Luckily, I had just spent the last year and a half revamping my health and getting myself back to a point where physically I looked like I was into health again, because I was 147 pounds, looking grayer than what do you call that? I'm thinking of Game of Thrones grayscale, I think it's called, when your skin gets all anyways, I was like a white ghost at all times. I had no color because I never saw sunlight. It was bad. And finally I landed myself a job again. Only this job seemed to be perfect for me. It was literally tailored to me. It was like the universe said, "Okay, Patrick, I heard you loud and clear. You need some money to support your family. I'm going to give you the ability to do that, but I'm also going to give you a job that's not going to drain you completely. You're going to get a reciprocal energy flow. The energy you put in, you're going to get back, because you're going to be helping and changing these people's lives as they come and see you." And I did just that. I picked it up right away. I have a sign up rate of about 80%, 70 to 80%. So out of the people that walk through the door to see me, I sign up 70 to 80% of them, which when I got hired, I believe the standard was like 30 or 40% was kind of the goal. So obviously, I'm good at what I do. And now there's big time opportunities presenting themselves for me. And it's all going to be happening in the next couple weeks. In the next couple months here. So while we're getting to know each other through this, there's going to be a lot of changes happening in my life, and it's all really exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to sharing it with you, but we're not going to talk about that yet because nothing has been finalized. So we're going to stick to the task at hand right here for today. And I've totally gone off track here, so let me get back on track. Um, as I was saying, I left all my problems behind, right? Went to recovery. And as I came out, I was doing better, but I wasn't really continuing to improve myself. So I wasn't doing my meditation practices consistently. I wasn't eating good. I was eating whatever the hell I wanted. It there's being sober, and then there's striving to be a better person every single day, even if that's just 1%. In fact, I recommend we become only 1% better each day, because then you don't burn out. You can maintain that day after day, and a year from now, you're 365% better if you stick to that, which is phenomenal. Okay, so around that April eclipse, remember that in 2024? So this is now March. I hadn't quite got that job yet, but I was just about to land it. Funny enough, right? It's so crazy when we look at our lives in a reverse chronological order, because the patterns and everything are just so much more obvious then. It's like, oh, that didn't happen because this lined up, and it's really cool. But when you're in it, if you let this monkey mind take over and start chattering too much, then you sabotage yourself. You self-sabotage. You start second guessing the plan. Trust the plan. Let it unfold. It's God's plan. Let him work his magic. He knows better than anyone else. Okay? And sorry, when I say he, it's most likely actually a she, because here we are living on planet Earth, aka Gaia, which is feminine energy. So that's a whole other topic, though. Anyways, the spiritual immaturity is kind of where my first awakening theme landed, I would say. It was kind of like being a baby in a new world. Ooh, everything is just so cool now, right? It was it was very immature. But this second awakening that I had, it felt so different, and it was cool because it happened while I was on the phone call with a friend of mine, and he was having his first one. So what he was experiencing and telling me is exactly, not exactly, but almost identical to what I experienced back in 2017. So it was cool because I was getting, like, I was learning from him because it was almost like seeing myself from about 6 years prior, 5 or 6 years prior, and it was like, oh yeah, I remember that. And look at me now. It was a way to compare and contrast me now from me then. So I was just kind of guiding him through a lot of the newly intense happenings that were going on in his life. I was sort of explaining to him, hey, it's normal, it's cool, just it'll pass, right? Like, I wish I had someone for to do that to me. Instead, I had to do all my searching online through the internet. So he was lucky enough to have me. At the same time, I was going through another cool, magical time in my life because it was a second spiritual awakening. It had a similar euphoric sense to it as the first. Just I felt more mature this time. Instead of feeling like a baby or a young adult, a young boy, I felt like me going through it this time. So yeah, it was pretty neat. um, okay, just like the first time though, following this new awakening, you get hit with all the traumas, all the toxic thoughts, all those things that you've been avoiding. They resurface real quick. Um, the first time that is would be called the dark night of the soul. This, I guess, is a second dark night of the soul. Only the second time around, I was prepared. When I saw these things surfacing, I knew, oh, no, 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 no. You're not taking me for a ride this time. I know how this goes. And I was able to navigate the traumas in a way that basically the only way I can say I navigated them and I overcame them, I really did nothing at all, honestly. They surface. What that means is they float into your consciousness. You begin thinking about it. You begin obsessing over it in some circumstances. You have to get through that. You have to know that that passes in time. It only lasts a limited amount of time. They're like thought bubbles circulating your consciousness. If you ignore them long enough, they go away. And in some cases, they go away and they never return. And that would be when you quote unquote, overcome them, right? So I didn't know this. I didn't know how to release traumas. You hear that all the time in the spiritual community. Ana, namaste. We must release the traumas. Release the traumas from our lives and pray that they never return. Namaste. No, no, no. It's not like that. That just confuses people. Okay? All it means is bring it into your attention and don't act on it. You do that enough times, practice over and over and over again, and guess what? It stops coming up. We don't know that because most of us just give into it. We think it's our thought. We think it's our desire. We think we want that, whatever it is, so we go do it. It's not. It's the universe's way, it's God's way of testing us to see if we've truly changed yet. That's all it is. All right, so this time I was ready. First time, it got the best of me, and man, did it take me for a wild ride, as we already talked about. A good 4 years, right? This time around, I'm hearing that whatever surfaces, whatever happens now, in this point specifically, after the lunar eclipse, now the solar eclipse we've just had, it's going to affect our trajectory for the next 6 to 9 months. So I think history is essentially repeating itself. Only this time, I know I'm working with the energies for my favor, and I'm really excited to see what happens over the next 6 months. I am already seeing manifestations that I had in my mind from 10 years ago begin to line up. I had a prophetic twin flame dream. Apparently, this twin flame of mine, she was in Toronto University at the time, 7 years ago, well, 8 years ago now. And now I'm potentially going to be moving to a 2 hour drive from Toronto in a neighborhood that's about 40 minutes away from Niagara Falls. So if that all pans out, all I can say is destiny seems to be unfolding, and I couldn't be more excited. Um, so right now, I'm at a point where these massive energy shifts in my family, these massive energy shifts in my life are bringing in my soul family. My path is finally becoming clear. The last month, it's been anything but clear, but that's all because of the chaotic energies and everything going on astrologically. It's just been a very confusing time and a very emotional time. So I'm looking forward to things stabilizing, hopefully stabilizing into April here. But I think that's doubtful. I think cosmically it's going to be an intense year for us all. So, anyways, I predict massive earth-shattering events this year. I think what we're going through is a global awakening. If I'm going through these things, I know everyone else is going through them, whether they're aware of it or not. Ultimately, ascension is it's a naturally occurring phenomenon. Everyone's going through it. Everybody is ascending. There are ways to fight against it. There's ways to resist it. But other than that, if you don't fight it, if you don't resist it, if you just work with it, then you will ascend. And that brings me to my final point before we end this video. There's two types of people right now. There's people who are working with the energies of ascension, and there's people who are working against the energies of ascension. Those that are working against the energies of ascension are dealing with chaos, anxiety, horrible karmic retributions. The universe, God, and his angels, they are all trying to course redirect you. Say that right? Redirect your course. They're trying to course correct you because that's how the universe works. That's in my dark night of the soul, things were so much harder because I just needed to learn these lessons, but I wasn't learning the lesson. So every time the lesson would come, it would be harder and harder. And eventually, those little smacks on the face were full on knockout punches to me because I just wasn't getting it. I wasn't changing. So if you're getting that in your life, if you're experiencing this and you know it, because as I'm speaking, your your gut's hearing it right now and it's telling you you need to change. Stop saying it's going to be tomorrow. You just need to do it now. You're never going to change if you just keep saying, it'll be tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow. You have to start now. There is no other time but now. Tomorrow is an illusion. Yesterday, it's an illusion. There is no past, present, and future. My daily mantra now when I wake up is I must get through today. I must get through today. That's it. That's all. Because if I was to start thinking about tomorrow and the next day and holy crap, I got to keep this up for how much longer, I would drive myself insane. I would go crazy. I'm not letting it do that to me. I'm focusing on one day at a time. That's it. And when you do that, not only does it keep you present, but it keeps the chaos at bay. All right? So, if you're still listening, thank you so much. I know this has been a long video, but we needed to cover a lot of stuff in this. So, I hope this helps you in your journey. Please smash the like button. Subscribe for more content, and please share this with somebody that could benefit from this. It really helps the channel grow. Take care.